The following content deals with metaphysical concepts and is not meant to take the place of therapy or to provide life advice. Opinions expressed are those of the guests. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Spirit Talkers Beyond the Veil podcast. I'm Paula de Montenay, your host. And today I have with us a very special guest, and she's ready to go, Lorraine Jensen. And we are going to be talking about her life, the Metaphysical Society, which she is a huge part of, including doing their podcast, and other great things. So I'm going to introduce Lorraine, just read her bio here. So she's a local realtor. We are in Nanaimo, as you know. She facilitates personal development, which we're going to talk about, programs, and hosts podcasts for the Metaphysical Society for Conscious Living. She is a strong believer in the power of energy, right? And the amazing results that come about when two or more come together. So we want to talk about that. What does that mean exactly, right? All right. So hello, Lorraine, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula.
Yeah. So first, let's get into Metaphysical Society. What is it? What is it all about? What do you do there?
I'm new. I'm very new. So I've known about the Metaphysical Society for a long time, and it was previously run by Judith and William Munns. And they're both lovely people in the community, and they had this thing going all the time. And so he passed and she retired. And so then a few people decided to get it started again. And they approached me and I said, I'd love to join. But the people that had been, like Lisa Holloway and David Welsh, they've been going for years. And I had gone every once in a while. But I didn't think that I belonged there because I'm not some spiritual guru. Right? I thought you had to be all dialed in to go and attend these meetings. So I said, sure, I'll be a part of it and I'll help out. And so the first time I went, I was kind of gauging the audience and seeing who was what. And so many of them were just curious like myself, and trying to, I believe that we're all just finding our way and seeing where we fit and where we don't fit. And it was just a bunch of really amazing people come to learn something that they didn't know about, but were curious about. And so when it first started, I said, well, why don't I do the podcast? I'll interview people. I'll interview the upcoming speakers, and then we can put it online. And if people want to come, they can. And if not, they don't have to come that time. So my first interview, the guy was talking about UFOs. I was like, okay, this is a bit far-fetched for me. And it was fascinating.
I bet.
And, I've only been doing it for since September. And the people that I've interviewed have just been, every single one of them are phenomenal. And the talks have been great. So it's just a group of like-minded people coming together to learn from other like-minded people.
Yeah. And I love that. I love that you're being so honest about being new to it, right? And thinking that it was this group of, gurus or people that maybe have been dialed in and have all these specialities, but it's really like we're all just people.
That's it.
Right?
And so many of us, I found it fascinating the first time when Tim Finley was the speaker, and he said, how many of you have seen a UFO? And all these people put their hands up. I was like, wow. Now I'm feeling ripped off.
Yeah.
But it was like, wow, these people have come because they've had this experience, and some of them just don't know what to do with it, which is the truth about so many of us in life and how we show up, knowing what we know and not knowing what to do with it, right? I mean, I get woken up in the middle of the night with a tap on my shoulder. I'm like, hello, okay, if you're here, what do you have to say? And I get all kinds of things. And I don't know what they are, Yeah. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go and watch and see what happens. Yeah. And I love it.
And that it's like, what drew you to, was it the word metaphysical that kind of drew you in, or was it maybe just the idea of getting to know like-minded people, or?
Oh no, I know about myself many things. I don't know what they're called. I don't know what they're labeled as.
Right.
I just know that if I'm thinking of somebody and I'm driving down the road, I'll think, oh, I need to speak to that person. And then the phone rings and they phone me and I say, oh, thanks for taking my call. And they say, well, no, I called you. I say, no, actually you didn't. So I've grown up with all of that and visualizing something and then watch it manifest and how I believe that happens. And so there's a lot of those things that are already mine.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go and learn. And I think the other thing, Paula, that I find interesting is that because I might swear occasionally or don't always, I'm English and I'm Irish, you know. So because I'm not pure, I always thought that you kind of needed to be a certain way to be metaphysical. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I learned that somewhere. I mean, I'm a brilliant storyteller. I make up stories and I stick to my stories, as most of us do. And so, yeah, I made up a story somewhere that that's how you had to be in order to be, you know, all day, every day.
Oh,
And
nobody can be that way all day, every day.
well, I don't know.
I don't know anyone that's that zen.
I don't know either.
I wish, but nope. Yeah, so stories. So yeah, we all have stories, right? We all have what we believe, where our beliefs came from. Sometimes aren't even from us. A lot of the times they're not even from us. A lot of times they're from our family, our upbringing, our social kind of economic group, all these things. And so how do you sift and sort and find yourself in all that? I know as personal, being in personal development, you must work a lot with that.
I do. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love being in, after I've been doing it for 20 years, facilitating, but listening to people just utter a few sentences sometimes, I'm like, I know exactly what your story is. Because we've all got basically the same story. We just use different strategies to get there. Does that make sense?
It does actually.
I'm
yeah.
not good enough. I'm not worthy. You know, all of the things. I'm too much. That was my one. Oh, you know. So growing up, I was told, you know, you're singing too loud. You should be in the back row. But I love to sing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that sticks and it sticks and it sticks. And then growing up and then being a facilitator, I have really big energy. I know that. And I can make things happen. I know that too. So shying away from that when really I should be embracing that. And I'm just talking about me. And when I have a group of 20 or 30 people in front of me and they have totally shut down their lives because of the way they've been treated or what they've seen or just what they've made up, you know, it's game changing. It's game changing.
I'm curious, working as a facilitator, how, like, could you give us an idea of what you might do with a group of people like that who need some help kind of changing their inner dialogue or their mindset?
Well, that's a great question. So the program that I facilitate, it comes from the series that used to be The Pursuit of Excellence.
Okay.
Excuse me. Have you heard of The Pursuit of Excellence?
I've heard of it, yeah.
It's been going for over 50 years.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 programs in the core series. The first one basically is taking in all kinds of information, learning emotional intelligence, which is the key ingredient to great leadership and success. The second program is the one that I facilitated. It used to be called The Wall, and now it's called Breakthrough. And so basically they come to me for 4 days, and my job is to build trust. And I think create space for people to be able to share in an environment where they realize that they're not the only ones. they're not the only ones. So recently I led a program. There was 28 people in it. There was 4 days. We had 7 people from a local, the Yukon, First Nations community in the Yukon. Had a guy fly in from Japan. We had people here from the States. We had people from across Canada, and somebody she was German, and I'm English. So it's like, wow, this is interesting. And throughout the program, I stopped at one point and said, does everybody notice that we're all talking about the same thing? And because you're a different color than me, or you come from a different country and you speak a different language, I don't understand you, so I stay away. And I make up stories about you. And what I said in the room that day was, I didn't even know Japanese people could be funny. Right? I didn't know a funny Japanese person. So but that's a story. And so for all of us to come together and realize that not one story was harsher than the other, or deeper, or more painful. But when everybody shared, not a single word was spoken, and everybody was fully engaged in everything that everybody had to say. How often does that happen in the world today? So they come and they learn about their driving needs. What drives you? What drives me to be who I am? Right? And we spend a lot of time on that. And then we look at the past, and we look at the stories that we've made up in life that stop us. And we have a strategy, a way to help them turn that around. And it's beautiful. And then we spend time that weekend meditating, doing long-term vision, not meditation, long-term vision work. And at the end, we create some work around that. And it's absolutely beautiful. It is the most beautiful experience.
Wow. That must be really fulfilling.
Very, very blessed and privileged to be able to do the work that I do.
Wow.
And they come home and sell houses. And in the work that I do, it helps me so much, because I don't listen to the stories of people. I ask them in the beginning, what do you want? Why are you doing this? And then when they start to doubt, and it's like, no. Right? This is what you told me. So it's interesting to have that skill in the real estate business.
Yeah. I bet a lot of people are not used to that.
No.
Right?
No. I call people out where they're at. I just do.
They're like, this realtor is very intuitive. Like, where does this come from?
I have smudged people's houses because they were stuck in a belief. I have bought a spiritual person into a house to clear energy, or to see where the energy is and the ancestors are in a house, because somebody was afraid to let go of the home in case they had to leave their family behind. But once they realized that they take their family goes with them, the house sold. So I've done all kinds of stuff like that, and it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that talks a lot about what energy is, right? And I have to say briefly, when I moved into my last home, there was an entity in there that the family had actually left behind. And as I worked with her to try and figure out where she was and to help her release to go be with them, I realized it was the grandma, a Filipino grandma. And eventually I got her on her way, but I was just kind of like, what is that? It was so strong, and she was so stubborn. She would not leave. So it took a lot of work, but yeah, it was like, it's my home now. Sorry. Could you please just go be with your family?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, many people wouldn't know what it was, but they'd walk in and they go, oh, that room is really cold. I was like, yeah, that's where the Filipino grandma lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. We had a cat in one of our houses, and my daughter and I'd come down the stairs. Well, it wasn't a real cat, but it would be on the banister, and then it would jump off the banister, and I'd say, oh, good morning, and this cat was just always showing up. And as I was thinking about that cat, your cat walked out. I didn't even know there was a cat in the room.
You can call in, I believe, you can call in energy, or you can release energy. And a lot of times that could be stuck emotions, or it could be something that maybe you're blocking, right? I totally believe that. And being able to help people and show them where that is so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I want to go back to one thing you said about the Metaphysical Society for Conscious Living and getting involved with that. And I heard this was that you wanted to meet like-minded people. And so I'm curious, how did you know you were going to meet like-minded people in that group? Like, what drew you to the term metaphysical, or maybe to type of people that might be joining that sort of a group?
I had been to that group a few times before, and I knew some of the people there. And I know about myself is that if I just, is it a fit for me? I don't know. You know, I didn't know if it was going to be a fit for me. I had been to a few talks before, and I really didn't relate to some of the things that someone was saying. And then other times I went and I absolutely loved it. And I knew Lisa Holloway, and I knew a few of the people that were there, and I thought, well, this is, you know, maybe it's a good fit for me. I'd been going to Unity for many years, which is a non-denominational, not a church, but a gathering place.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I knew some of the people there, and I knew some of them. I knew Judith Munns. And so I just thought, yeah, I'll just go check it out. I was going to go to Two Worlds, and I thought, check it out. So I was looking at the website, which I never check out people's websites. I just go or I don't go. I listen to this.
Yeah.
And I was talking about this Arthur Findlay. And I thought, Arthur Findlay, okay, well, who is Arthur Findlay? Oh, he's the founder of this institute in England for mediumship. So then that afternoon, I go and interview Tim Findlay. And he's like, you know, I'm Tim Findlay, like Arthur Findlay. And I'm like, Arthur Findlay? I just heard of Arthur Findlay today. And then the next day I went to Two Worlds, and I was talking to Nicole, and she goes, yeah, well, I'm going to Hogwarts in May. And I'm like, Hogwarts, where's that? She goes, oh, it's the Arthur Findlay Institute. I said, okay, I'll go. So I went home and I booked to go. And then recently I found out that Nicole and I are going to be in the same class at the same time.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, in England in September.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Hogwarts.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2016 I went, and it was magical. It really was magical because, again, meeting like-minded people
Oh,
with this, and the energy there is incredible. If you believe in energy, and this is what we're talking about, is how energy can call you even, right? You can call it in, it can call you. And that's one of those places that just brings everybody together because you know you're going to be supported, you're going to be cared for. And when you go there for a retreat, you have a room, you get all your meals taken care of, and you're just in this beautiful energy for the whole time.
well, I'd love to do an intention circle in a place like that. Right? Just, you know, pull the energy of everybody there. And many, many years ago when I moved to Nanaimo, 35 years ago, I kind of arrived here and everyone said to me, oh, this is a bar town, Nanaimo will never go anywhere. I'm like, yeah, I think you people are missing something. There's a really great spiritual energy here. And over the years, I've met all these different groups of people. And this is probably the biggest reason that I joined the Metaphysical Society, is that I've always said if we could bring all of those people together and sit in circle and hold the energy for greatness, then nothing but greatness will show up. You know, it's too easy. So my girlfriend and I started intention circles about 8 years ago, I believe it was, or just before COVID, a couple of years before COVID. And we had about 20 circles going up and down the island. And people just gather once a week, whether in their homes or in somewhere that they met, and that they would just sit in intention. And I hosted the open one. There was an open one at Unity. So every Thursday at 7 o'clock, we go in and sit down. What's your intention for this week? One girl came every week. She had the intention of getting pregnant. So we'd all sit there, and we'd close our eyes for 2 minutes, and we set the intention for her to be pregnant. And then somebody else wanted to find a partner. And then we do the same thing. And then everybody had something, and mine was always different. I mean, one day I went there, and I can't remember what I intended for, but my toes were wrapped up. I had broken my toe. But they'd been wrapped up for ages, but I just wrapped them up. And someone said, that toe's still wrapped up? And I said, yeah. So we set the intention for my toe to heal. Nothing. After that, it was absolutely fine. And then, can I tell you a story about?
Yeah, please.
So this lady came to me and she said, my son is missing in Syria. He's been gone now, and they had deleted all their savings looking for him. He had gone to Syria. He was supposed to be picked up. He was being driven across the country and taken to another country, and just, it was a hop, skip, and a jump away, and he was getting dropped off. So he arrived, and nobody heard from him since. He's British, Canadian and British, and so they'd never heard from him, didn't know where he was. And so they said, can you intend for him to come home? We didn't know if he was alive. So I said, okay, well, sure. So I said, you come into my circles and we'll sit in a circle. So we would sit, and every week we knew what we were intending to find out where he was, if he was alive, what was going on. And so many people had tried to bring him home, but nobody could. And there were other people that said, no, you went to Syria, you're not supposed to go to Syria, it's your own fault. So we close our eyes and we'd open our eyes, and sometimes I'd say, can you see the energy in this room? You could see the energy in the room. And we discovered, or we figured, we thought, we made up, we saw that he was alive, that there were two buildings. There was like a big building over here and a little building here, and he was in the little building. I saw that he had never been hurt. Other people were being hurt, but he had never been hurt. And I think it was 89 days. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was 8 months. Anyway, we would set this intention every week. And then I was going to England, and on my way to the airport, I knew that his mum wasn't doing well. And I phoned her and I said, you listen to me, in the gentle, nice, kind way that I am. You listen to me. I said, if he's reaching out to you energetically and you're down in the dumps, he's not going to find you. You have to do something that you love to do. Read a book, write a poem, knit a sweater, take the dog for a walk, watch a movie. Do something that lifts your energy so that he can feel your level of energy. That's where you are. And she goes, okay. So I went to England. I came home. I got home late at night. And 5 o'clock in the morning, I got up to use the washroom. My friend texted me. And she goes, Lorraine. I said, what? She goes, he's coming home. I'm like, alive? Yes. Wow. So out of nowhere, Paula, somebody had picked up a file in the States and said, what is this guy doing here? Let's go get him. And it took the heads of 3 countries to go in there. And so he was in his cell. He had never left his cell for 8 months. I'm sure it was 8 months. He was fed daily in like a little shampoo bottle. It was like a little shampoo bottle. And then he wasn't allowed to exercise. He had watched people, heard people get beaten and killed and all kinds of stuff. And one day they came in and they start cleaning his cell. And he's like, what's going on? And they said, oh, you're going home. He's like, yeah, okay. And then they came and they got him and they brought him home. And then the next Thursday night, I was in my waiting. It was 7 o'clock. I thought, I'll make sure nobody else is coming. So I opened the door to see if anybody else was coming to the meeting. And this man walked around the corner, and we knew instantly it was each other.
Oh, wow.
And we just fell into each other's arms, and we've become really good friends.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty special. Wow. And you know what? Whether that was us or not, it doesn't matter. We believe it was.
Exactly. So, I believe it. And I think that's a beautiful example and representation of the power of intention.
Yes.
So tell us about, for people that haven't read, Limbic Tiger, The Power of 8, or don't know about intention setting in circles, tell us a bit about that.
Well, I'll tell the truth. I've never read the book. I got the book, but I've never read the book. My belief is that it's energy. Back in the day, I used to do work at home Wednesdays. So I'd invite women to come to my house on a Wednesday, bring your work. You can go in the kitchen, you can go in the dining room, and we just do our own work, meet and eat our lunches. And then we'd all say that on that Wednesday, we did more on that one day a week than we would have done if we were working alone. Wow. Because we're together, right? Piglet said it to Pooh, it's always greater with two. It says in the Bible, I haven't read the Bible, but it says when 2 or more come together, right? And I'm vibrating. My hands, I can feel it in my hands right now. But there's the power of not doing something on your own. I just joined a cleansing group. I got no idea what the product was. I took the product. I did what everybody said because I was accountable to other people. And I lost 15 pounds. And I feel great, right? And it's like, wow, would I have done it if I was from myself? Chances are no, right? So intention is about setting the intention for something that maybe I don't have yet. Maybe it's to heal my body or to attract something that I don't have yet. And it's about bringing everybody's energy together and sitting in circle and just closing our eyes and seeing the outcome. What is it that you want? That lady would say, I want to have a baby. Okay, we all see you pregnant. And seeing her pregnant, I don't know if she ever got pregnant. COVID hit and we all lost touch.
That would have been
A lot of
great
us.
ending to that story, right? Instead, she brought the baby to the
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the circle. Like,
I
yes.
know. But I mean, it's just so powerful. It is so powerful. And I don't know, it's too easy. You close your eyes, you see something happened already, you believe that it's happened already, you're with other people that believe it's happened already, and all of a sudden, things happen. And I'm sure you know Esther Hicks.
Oh, yeah.
So Esther Hicks, I've never read any of her books either, but I listened to one of her podcasts, and she was talking about the vortex. And I love this. I think it's brilliant. So she talks about the universe knows what you want, Lorraine. You tell the universe what you want every day. My job is to put that out into the universe. And then my job is to raise my energy so that my vibration is high. And I like to say that my cup is full, so I'm feeding out of my saucer. Right? So that I have an abundance of really good energy going on. So I'm not draining myself by giving back, because when I give back, I receive. Yeah. So the idea is to fill my vortex. And all of a sudden my vortex is filled. Now I'm on the same level as the universe. And so something really good happens, and I go, wow, that's great, thank you. And then something else really good happens. Wow, this is fantastic, it keeps getting better. As soon as I say, I can't believe this is happening, it stops happening.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so it's about just keeping my cup full. Keeping my cup full. And I'm one of those people, I love to give. I love to be in service. And then sometimes I give and give and give and get to the point where, well, hang on, no one's giving anything back to me. And then I get resentful. Yeah. Now, I know I'm not talking to myself here because I facilitate a lot of programs. But, it seems to be this cycle. And the idea is that if I can just keep my cup full, and that's what we talk about this program, it's just filling my own cup, getting my own needs met so that I don't need to drain anybody else's or go to them and try and pull from them. Yeah. Like, just fill my cup. Yeah. And then when I pay you a compliment, my cup gets fuller. Yeah. Because when I see you smile, I smile on the inside and on the outside. Yeah. When I open the door for somebody and they acknowledge me, I go, yeah. Right? So it's just little things that help fill your cup. When I drive past a school zone, instead of being like, oh, I've got to be somewhere, I slow down and I bless every child in that school and every teacher and custodian and all their parents and all their families. And I get to the end and I'm like, good job. Like, it just feels good. And it's just little things. But that's what fills our vortex.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Did I answer your question about the intentions?
About the intention circles? I think, your example was great about that, but I'm curious about how come it's more powerful when it's a group than when it's just an individual, right?
Because it's a greater sense of energy. Like there's more energy. I mean, I'm British, and right now it's the European Cup is soccer. And so when I watch the game and I see those people screaming for hours and cheering for hours for their team, I feel it. I feel it in their bones. I feel it in my bones. And I think to myself, if I was standing in that stadium by myself cheering, it wouldn't last long, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just the power of energy. And energy is so powerful, right? When two or more come together, that's it. Like that's it. It when I don't know. I'm so attracted to. I love walking the seawall. I love walking the seawall. You know, and you say good morning, and you could just feel it growing down there.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever I walk down there, that's how I feel. I just feel
Yeah.
so full. Like, yeah, because everyone's happy in the sunshine and on the water and just enjoying nature. Yeah.
I was out there at 6:30 this morning, and there was me and my dog and a few people walking by. And I was like, wow, you know, the setting has been set. Like the energy is there for everybody to tap into. It's wherever it comes from, I don't know, but to me it's a magical place. Westwood Lake is a magical place. There are so many in our community magical places for people to go. Yeah. But it's just tapping into the energy. And we're all a choice. Yeah. Do I want to listen to the news or do I want to listen to this podcast?
Yeah. True.
We're tapping into the energy, tapping in. And I do believe that, and this is what I was saying about Nanaimo, is that universally we're at the tipping point, you know, and the more people that can tap into the positive energy and feel good and love others, the more people that can do that, the greater the energy in the world will be. Yeah. Could I do it on my own? I do it on my own. But when I know that somebody's doing it with me, is it greater? Absolutely it is.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be some kind of a mathematical equation that
sure
goes with that, right?
I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, me neither. Because I keep picturing all these great books that talk about power of intention, you know, power of now even. Then there's a law of attraction, like all these things. They're all talking about the same thing. They're all talking about energy and how to tap into the energy and how to create and be a co-creator, as Esther Hicks would say, or Abraham, to be a co-creator with the universe. And that is by setting intention and then raising your vibration and being there and knowing that it is yours.
That's it.
And that's it. I mean, it's so simple.
That's it.
Is that why we don't believe it?
And I believe that the work that I do as a facilitator is really, I would like to say a foundation in some ways for a lot of this metaphysical work. And I say that because every time I've interviewed somebody, they are talking the same language as me, but when they get up and speak about their topic, they don't talk about the same things that we talked about together, about energy, and they're talking about aliens, right? When they, like Tim Finley gets up and talks about aliens, or somebody talks about channeling or whatever they're talking about, they're not talking about the foundational. I had to learn to love myself first. I had to learn to forgive myself for being human first. I had to, and in my facilitation, that's a lot of what I do. And from that, I get to see the results of people stepping into their greatness. And that's an amazing thing. So the people in, I forgot my train of thought there for a second, but you know, the people in the Metaphysical Society, really, I mean, we're all talking the same language. And you know, it comes from changing my energy and changing my beliefs about myself so that I'll actually go to a meeting or say to somebody, actually, you know, I get these callings as well. But when we're trying to figure out who we are as humans, that's hard enough before trying to tap into the rest of it. So And I see a lot of the people that come to my programs are now showing up at the Metaphysical Society because they're fascinated by more. And a lot of people that come into program, a lot of people in the world, whether they come to the programs or not, are so stuck within their head, that they don't see anything outside of to understand how great the world is and how much opportunity there is. If I change my mind, I change my life. You hear me say that in a program 100 times. I change my mind, I change my life. That's it. It's that simple. It's not hard. I can set the intention for something, but if I'm not feeling good within myself, chances are I'm not going to allow that intention is. I'll tell you another story if I can quickly.
Yes, please. I love stories.
Years ago, I had just come out of a program, and a friend of mine had moved. I had moved to Vancouver for a little while, and a friend of mine once said to me, "I'm going to show you something," and I was like, "Sure." And so he locked the locks on his truck and he drove me up this dirt road, and we walked through this gate, and there was this house on top of a mountain in Nanaimo, and I went, "Whoa." And I looked in the window, and like I know how to breathe, I knew that I was going to live in that house. Like I knew how to breathe. And I was like, wow, this is weird. I don't live here. I don't have a job. I don't have any money. And it's probably worth 3 or 4 million now. But I knew. And I knew, and I believe I knew because my energy was so clean, because I had just come out of a weekend program. And I was clean on the inside. And I was clean on the outside. And I ended up owning this house. That's a big long story, but we don't want to go into. But and things would happen, and the mortgage rates were going up the next day, and my friend says, "I'm a mortgage broker, I'll put you on my list. And if the rates go up tomorrow, then you'll already be on my list, so you'll qualify for the old rates." I'm like, okay. Well, the next day the rates go up, and we never would have qualified had we not been on that list. Like, everything happened right up, and these challenges would come up, and I'm like, no, I'm meant to live in that house. This is not going to happen. Yeah. And we lived in that house. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
Belief.
Belief. It is a belief. Yeah.
That's all intention is. Belief.
Totally. Yeah.
Very blessed. We're very blessed.
We are. And, I wish more people could understand that and believe that, because we are totally blessed, especially living where we are. I mean, we're on one of the most beautiful places, Vancouver Island, Nanaimo, BC, and people always say it's such a magical place, and it really is.
It is.
There's some amazing sacred areas to go here. And then just the energy, like when you come from the ferry, I lived in Vancouver for 30 some years. You come off the ferry, you start to come this way, you just relax.
I know.
It's like you breathe out and you go, oh, okay, I'm home. Yeah. It just feels so different. I can't even describe it.
I know. You got to come here.
Yeah. And that's funny because when I moved here, when we moved 3 years ago, I hadn't planned on living here. And Spirit had been calling to me, and I kept saying, no, 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 no. I was busy in my film career, and I was busy doing my mediumship development circles and everything, and I was just like, I'm happy where I am, I'm good. And then COVID hit, and everything started to fall apart. And I just went, maybe I should move. I started looking around. I was playing around with it. And at first, I had put my townhome up for sale. I had 3 offers that all fell through. And so, of course, that tells me I'm not meant to move. I'm supposed to stay. But I kept getting that voice in my ear. You're going to move. You have to move. You have to move to the island. And I'm like, why? They're like, just move. And so I said, okay, I put my house on the market again. This was the following spring. Put my house on the market, 5 days it sold. I was like, oh, shoot, where am I going to go now? And so I start coming over and looking at homes. I could not find anything. And I started to panic. I'm like, okay, if I see a whale on the ferry, I know I have to move here. Saw a whale. Went, okay, well, where am I going to move? And then I was looking online, and I found this house that you can see now. And funny enough, my realtor didn't find it. I found it. And going through the listings, I sent it to her, and I said, can I see this house? She goes, oh, well, this was Wednesday. She goes, they're taking off for Saturday, and then they're figuring it out by Sunday. I went, what? I don't have time to come over and see the house. She said, I'll walk through it for you with a camera. So she did. And I put an offer, and, here I am. So obviously it worked out. But I got a job within that time. I sold my townhome, I got this house, and I got a job all within 10 days.
Wow.
And I went, I guess I'm moving to Nanaimo. And it's just one of those things. It's like, I just trusted. And I think that's part of it too, right?
Absolutely. You have to trust.
Yeah.
You have to trust. And again, trust is one of the biggest challenges that people say, oh, I trust. And I said, do you really know? So, I mean, that's one of the things that in the programs that I facilitate, it's always trust. If you trusted somebody else, really it all comes down to us. But if you really trusted it yourself, then you would take the risk, you would do the things, you would, it's part of the game. We just have to learn to trust. I just recently was talking to a client about decluttering. I said, oh, I'm decluttering. And they said, oh, are you moving? And I said, I don't know if I'm moving. I just know I'm decluttering and it feels good. And they said, well, can we see your place? And I was like, oh, sure. So the next day I didn't say anything else, and they were looking for a house. I was selling maybe a condo. And so he said, can I come and see your place? And I said, sure. So he came in and he goes, this is exactly what we want. And I thought, how can I say no to this? Like, how can I say no? I've been questioning, do I go, do I stay, do I go, do I stay? This guy says, oh yeah, this is what we want. I didn't have to list it. I didn't have to take a picture. I didn't have to, it's just done. I was like, okay. Right? And so I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust the process.
Yeah. And I believe the universe works in that way, and we get what we ask for.
We do.
Like, you hear in the scriptures, ask and you shall receive. And there's all of these words or these sayings that we've grown up with. And we always just go, whatever, it's pedantic. But it's not. They're there for a reason, right? If you don't ask, how can you receive?
Very true.
And if you don't know what you want, you're not going to go anywhere.
No.
Right? It's like you can't steer a ship if you don't know a direction and what your final point is going to be, your destination. You can't. You're just going to go like this all your life.
Around and around.
Yeah.
And around.
It's like unless you know where you want to go, unless you have a focus, unless you have a destination, a desire, something.
What I often say to people, if you don't know where you're going, make it up. At least you're moving in that direction. And then as you move in a direction, you can change your mind as you go along. But choose something and start somewhere. Because otherwise, you know, and you don't know. And the beautiful thing, I mean, I love the law of attraction. I love it. And just the idea that, I set something for myself and just watching it happen. It's like just the little things. I remember hearing a story about somebody, one man came home one day and he had stopped, way out of context for him, stopped and bought a bird bath on the way home. His wife's like, what is this? He goes, I don't know. I drove by this store and it was outside and I just had to buy it. And she's like, you've never done this before. What are you doing? And he said, I don't know. And then later on, one of them, it caught their eye in their long-term vision picture. In the house that they had chosen was this little bird bath. And it was the same bird bath. And it shows up. It just happens. Trust the process, but know what you want. Yeah. And like I say, even if you don't know what you want, make it up. Yeah. But have something that you're moving towards.
Yeah. Like what you're talking about sounds like a vision board, right?
Yeah. Powerful beings they are.
Yeah. Have you done one?
Oh, I've done many.
You've done many?
Yeah.
And you find they work?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So how would you recommend for somebody, say that I have this idea in my head about how I want things to look a year, 2 years, 3 or whatever from now. Should I do something like that? Like if my power of focus isn't great because of social media and the world going too fast and everything that's going on, should I do something like a vision board?
Sure. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right? Get a bunch of magazines, cut out a bunch of pictures that you're attracted to, not the ones you think they should be, but something that attracts you. And I used to do them every year. I haven't done one in this past year, but I usually do. And they're all very similar, there's a bit of exercise on there, and then there's the house, and then there's the potential man if I ever open my heart to that again. And then my career, and lots of times it's just like, oh, there it is. So in the program, another story, in the program, a picture is painted at some point during one of the programs. And so my ex-husband came home with his, and he's got this painting. I was like, oh, it's good. He's like, well, I don't really know how to paint, but it's a lovely painting, and we're going to get it framed, and we're going to hang it up so we can see it every day. So we went to Michael's. Oh, he would never watch this tape, I don't think. We went to Michael's and we got it framed, and we went to pick it up, and I said, it's under Jensen. And they said, oh, the child's art. I said, no, actually. I said, he did it. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry. But it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's what you believe it is. And it was a picture of a house, and there was a fence, and there was a plane over the top, and there was a pond in the background, and there was no furniture in the window because he couldn't paint. But there was one little fireplace set. He had drawn a fireplace set. There's no furniture, but it's his fireplace set. So we were living in Victoria, and we decided we were going to start moving back to, not all the way to Nanaimo, but to Cedar. So we went to see this house for sale by owner, and we pulled up outside, and I said, whoa, that's it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, look at it. It's the picture. It's the same color as the picture in the vision. It's got a fence. It's got a pond. It's under the airport. So we buy this house, and the day we take possession, and these people were hoarders. It was full. It was what's the word I'm looking for? Meticulous, but it was full of stuff.
Oh, okay.
And the day they left, they took every single thing except the fireplace set.
Oh, wow.
And we walked in, and I went, there it is. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it works. That is how it works, really. You set the intention for, it's intention setting.
Mm-hmm.
Vision boarding is intention setting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's energy. And you look at it and you close your eyes and you see it happening. You don't see it happening, you see that it's happened. You live as if, act as if it's already happened.
Yeah.
That is a really important part.
And I hate to ask this question, but it always makes me wonder when somebody gets something they don't want. So say you lose your job, or you have an illness, or your car breaks down, or all this series of events of things that are happening to you, as people always say. Is that something you've intended or called in as well?
How much time do we have? So I'm going to go back to the programs again for a second, but it's a big piece of one of the programs is the accountability piece, like being accountable for. So as I sit here, whatever happens to me in the world, I have to be accountable for. And I do believe that there's a gift in everything. People say, how can you say that? But there's always something in it. So I was 16 years old. I was pronounced dead on the side of the road after being in a car accident. And I was told I'd never walk again, and I'd never be able to write. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen to me. And so I was determined, and I learned then how determined I really am. And then over the years I've had other things, and about 16 years ago, I found out I had a brain tumor, and I phoned another program leader, and I said, why does it always happen to me? Like, that's my story. Oh, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. So I said to her, why? And she said, it doesn't matter why. You've attracted a brain tumor, and now you have to learn to live with it. That's it. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to give up, or are you going to keep going? That's it. Right? 4 years ago, I found out I had to have open heart surgery. And so I think it's been 2 years now. And, it's like, oh, that's not going to get me anywhere except in a grave.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Okay. let's go. What are you going to do? And then this is so a month after the surgery, I was back in the hospital. I had a bad infection around my heart. I had a really bad cough. I was not in a good way at all. And they were planning to take me back to St. Paul's Monday morning, and it was Sunday, and I was all hooked up to every and I'm like, okay. I woke up in the night. I'm like, okay, let's have a chat. And I said, one of two things is going to happen here. You're going to send me home, or you're going to take me home. And they were talking about reopening me, and I said, I'm not doing this again. Like, haven't I proven myself over and over when it comes to my health? Right. So, if it's time for me to come home, bring me home. I'll happily come. But if it's not my time, then send me home. I'm going back to sleep now. True story. And I went back to sleep, and I woke up, and the doctor came in. He goes, you're not going to believe this. I said, yeah, actually, I think I am. He goes, you can go home. I said, well, what happened between yesterday when you were ready to bury me and today? And he said, well, we started giving you this antibiotic, and it cleared the infection, and, the cough syrup worked with the cough. And I'm like, okay, so take this off. I'm going home.
Wow.
But I easily could have gone the other way.
Yeah.
Right? As we both know, many people do. Mm-hmm. I have a friend recently. She was diagnosed with cancer. She didn't even know what level she was in, but she died before she got the diagnosis because, she was so afraid.
Yeah. I struggle with that sometimes because I know in my own life, it's similar to you, I've had things happen, but I always see in retrospect, I understand why. But when I lose somebody that's close to me, that's when I find it more difficult. And I have a lot of, disbelievers who say, oh, we don't have fate, and we don't choose our energy, and we don't come down with a soul contract or a plan or anything. We're just here and then we die. And I'm just like, it can't be that easy. It can't be that
Why?
void.
Why are you here? Like,
Yeah.
there's something to learn for all of us. This is just my own beliefs. There's something to learn for all of us, and that, I really don't read a lot of books. I just believe what I believe. But I do believe that I'm here to learn something, so that I can, whatever I'm supposed to do with that, I don't know, whether take it back and use it there or something. I don't know. But I have to believe that. I have to believe that every time something happens, that there's good to come from it. Like my friend getting held in Syria all that time. Like, you better write a book about this. We just had a horrible incident in our family that went on for a long time, and it's heartbreaking. But I know that it's making people stronger and maybe wiser, and there's lessons in it for everybody. We can all look across the table and hate each other and be angry and stuff, but is that really serving anybody? It isn't. We're all here. I don't know what your path is. I don't know what you're here for. You don't know what I'm here for. So when I sit here and judge you all day long, it's not serving anybody or anything on the planet. Yeah. Certainly not the energy.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that, because so many people are so judgmental.
Oh.
And they look at life and they look at everybody else's life through their own filter. And that's something I've been working on myself for years now, is coming from a place of being non-judgmental, right? Trying to be neutral and accepting and loving of whoever comes through my life, even if it's somebody that's really aggravating me. I'm just like, no. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their path is. You don't know what their lesson is. You don't know what they've been through. And so I try and look at everybody through that lens. And sometimes, fall back into that default mode, which is judge. And that doesn't feel good, right?
It doesn't feel good, but we do it to justify how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Good point.
We do it to justify how we feel about ourselves. And, if I didn't feel old, then I might not judge older people. I wouldn't even recognize that they're there. You know, a counselor said this to me recently over the last few years. I said, but this person says this and this and this. And they said, but people don't call you anything that they don't believe that they are themselves. So I wouldn't call you judgmental if I wasn't a judgmental person. I wouldn't even see that.
Right. That's like the mirroring effect.
It's all a mirroring effect.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like to say is that you spot it, you got it. You know, when I see somebody doing something good or when somebody comes to me and pays me a compliment and says, wow, I really love the way you do this, I say, well, you know what they say? You spot it, you got it. So if you see the good in me, you're seeing the good in you. And if you see the not so good in me, that's exactly what you're seeing in yourself.
Can I use that?
Absolutely, please.
I love that. You spot it, you got it.
You spot it, you got it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I do it with myself. I look at someone and go, oh, well, look at how, whatever it is, if I'm not feeling good about myself, it's easy to feel better about myself than knocking somebody else down. I mean, it's just the easiest thing in the world, right? No, it isn't actually, because it drains our energy. It's emptying our cups. Yeah. I'll tell you another story. Years ago, I was asked at Wellington High School, they were doing a girls' day. And so they had all the girls from the school were there, and they had breakout rooms. And so I was asked to come and do a breakout room and talk to the girls about whatever it was for half an hour. I did that. It was lots of fun. And then at the end of the afternoon, we were all making our way back into the gym. So there's a couple hundred kids in there. And someone said to me, would you do the closing few minutes, like the few words? And I was like, sure. I said, how long? She goes, 30 minutes. Like, 30 minutes? I'm on my way to the stage. So I got up there and they're all chatting amongst themselves. I'm like, okay. This could be easy or this could be hard. I will stop talking and you can go home if you tell the truth for the first 2 minutes. So I want you to raise your hand and keep your hand up. If before you came to school today you looked in the mirror and you said, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm ugly. Keep your hands up. I want you to put your hand up if you looked in the mirror and said, I wonder if anyone's going to like my outfit. Is what I'm wearing too much? Is it not enough? Is it too low? Is it too high? Keep your hand up. Put your hand up if, and I asked a few questions. Everybody's hand was up. I said, okay, now look around. Look around the room and see how many hands are up. Because nobody is worried about what you're doing because everybody is worried about themselves. Now put your hands down and listen to what I have to say. And we were there for 30 minutes.
Wow.
And what I said, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got my point across.
Yeah. It's one of those inspired moments, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And whether they remember it or not, I don't know. But it was certainly a learning moment for me in the fact that, typically we think that everybody, or there's so many people looking at us and judging us, and really and truly, we're so busy thinking about ourselves that we don't have time to think about anybody else.
Yeah. True enough. Yeah. Wow. So did you want to share with people? You can or you don't have to. What is the program that you're doing, or how people can get involved in one of these type of programs or anything like that?
Sure. So the program, the company is called Excellence Seminars International, and you can find, there's a website, Excellence Seminars International, and it talks about the programs there and all the programs that we offer, how long we've been offering them, and just great programs.
Cool.
Yeah. The Metaphysical Society, we have a Facebook page called the Metaphysical Society of Nanaimo, and you're more than welcome to come and check us out.
Fantastic. Do you have any last words? Anything else you want to share with people that's kind of like you really want people to know this?
There are so many things that I want people to know. And mostly, it's be kind to yourself and love yourself and know that everybody has greatness in them. And my mission is to inspire people to stand in their greatness and just to smile at people and open the door for people. Maybe buy them a coffee, be patient in the lineup. That's it.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. We're all in
Totally.
this together. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. This has
For
been lovely.
trusting me.
Absolutely. When we had no idea what we were going to talk about.
We didn't actually, and it's been awesome. It's been fabulous.
Thank
I
you.
learned something, and I'm thankful. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
And I will see you at the Metaphysical Society. I will make it out one of these days.
Well, I'll come and get you now that I know where you live.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today. And check out everything that we talked about online, on Facebook. And I will see you next time with another wonderful, amazing topic. Yeah. See you soon.